Insights with Terri Ep.140, a weekly look through the eyes of predictive astrologer Terri Ep.140. Here's Terri.
Hi everyone, I'm Terri, and you're listening to Insights with Terri Ep.140. We are discussing the week of October the 2nd through the 8th, 2023. I think this week I'm going to spend a little bit of time on the astrology part, but I think I'd like to spend a little bit more time, hopefully with your permission, on more of the cards and some of the health things that we'll be working with. So I'm going to briefly touch on the astrology part, but I'm going to spend a little bit more time on the cards because there's quite a message in there for all of us. Remembering that it's general information, right, for generally people. So it's not like doing it one-on-one for a person where you can really focus on that person and really get into the nitty-gritty of that person's life. But I don't know. I listen to that little voice, and the little voice wants me to spend more time on the cards this week. Alrighty, so let's just get this astrology thing going. We're still in that Libra energy, so the sun sign is in Libra. We talked about that last week. That's about balance. It's about trying to find balance in our life, and I have found that quite significantly with the clients that I'm working with in the last couple of weeks. Many of them struggling with trying to find balance in their life, trying to balance their lives with their family, trying to balance career, me time. Some people had retired and were trying to find that balance between maybe starting another business and being on permanent vacation. So it really is a struggle to find that balance of play, work, productivity. What would you consider balance in your life with your relationships and how your life works? So that's what they want you to do, some I'm going to say some me time. And that me time is spending time with you. That doesn't mean that you have to get to massage necessarily or be distracted. I think the me time that they want us to spend time with is just in quiet thought. Try to identify, what am I thinking right now? What takes up most of my thinking time? What does my mind keep traveling back to? And if we can sit quietly for a bit, or walk, because some people fidget sitting, I do, so I can walk and try to be introspective. And that can also be self-body monitoring. While you're sitting or while you're walking, possibly you could pay attention to your body and see if you find any body parts that are sore or are giving you a message. For instance, if there's something wrong with a body part, let's just say your ear. Say your ear doesn't hurt, but maybe there's water on it. I'm just giving an example. And so you're thinking about your ear. Your ear is being brought to your attention. When we start thinking about our ear, it's off. Something's out of balance with your ear, because normally our ears, we don't think about them. You don't think about your nose. You don't think about your tongue unless you have a cold sore. You don't think about your lips unless you have a crack. So if there's something off, the body tries to bring our attention to it. So this me time, this spending time with yourself, assessing your body, is productive. It's not a waste of time. I know it's not something that we do in our culture where we just sit there and stare at a wall, but it's very, very productive, and it's very informative sometimes. We learn a lot about ourselves. So that's what this week and next week is about, and the week after, actually. It doesn't change the Libra sun sign until I think around the 24th, and then it'll be going into Scorpio, and then there's going to be some mood swings, folks. Put your belts on. If you're not part of the mood swing, you'll be a victim of it by somebody else, so just put your seatbelt on. And then Mercury, the planet of our processing, the planet of our mind, that's still in Virgo, that will be changing on the 6th. And that's going to go into Libra. So for right now, until the 6th, we have the opportunity to analyze, to try to have those thoughts that we're having, and then what does it mean? Virgo loves to find the pattern in things when it's in Mercury like that. So it likes to find out why, how, when, what's it mean, how does it apply to me, how does it apply to somebody else, how can it change the situation. So a lot of analyzing can be done and a lot of learning and growing with that. The 6th, as I said, it turns to Libra, so it'll be compounding the need for balance, both in the sun sign and in Mercury. Now, looking at that, that'll just be maybe a want. You know how we get a craving, or just feel like you could eat a cookie, or you just feel like you could just eat a potato. It's just a craving, kind of, for balance. If we don't strive for it or we don't try to accomplish it, then we will be offered situations that will help us try to balance our lives, which means they might throw us off balance, and then we recognize balance. So you don't think about your ear till your ear is off, or hurting, or water, doesn't listen, itchy. All of those things bring our attention to it. And Venus, the planet of love and beauty, attraction, is still in Leo, and that is where people just need to feel good about themselves. If you said that to somebody, they'd say, no, I don't, I'm fine. But that's not true. All of us really, in some way, shape, or form, do crave, even if it's subconsciously or unconscious, to feel good about ourselves, to feel good about some of the things that we've done, accomplished, been. And if we don't, that's where sadness comes in, or depression, or apathy. So just look around and maybe point that little gun at you and say internally, what do I do that's really good? What do I do that makes me shine in front of other people? What is shiny about me? And what can I find shiny about other people and express it to them so they can feel good about themselves? That's really important. And Mars, the planet of our drive and our passion, that's, believe it or not, folks, that's in Libra. So we've got 3 almost planets in Libra, and that's going to help us really, really look at our lives. And really scrutinize, not just on the surface. We're going to be able to dive deep with this. It's also a great energy when it combines in Mars to form partnerships, alliances. If you were looking at having a partnership in a business, if you were looking at bringing somebody in for something, or just teamwork, you know, some of the corporations, like Ford's, and Chrysler's like teams to do things. It's a really good energy for partnership. And actually, Libra actually rules the 7th house, which is partnership. So you can see how that can work. So if you'd like to increase the positiveness in your partnership with your partner, or whoever you would consider a partner, great opportunity to do that with this energy. Now, we're in the number 1. When I asked about what number was going to be given to us, number 1 was thrown at me. So you may see numbers. Some people do see numbers that mean things to them. And some people see 1111 or 111, but 1 was thrown at us. So 1 is going to be a very powerful number for us this week. And you can go and Google the number 1 and see what it means to you, or what it means to Google. But just in a nutshell, and I'm not a numerologist, number 1, you know, the number 1 on Star Trek Enterprise, it was leadership. It's about courage. It's about inspiration and getting into that, you know, leadership, active leadership and creativity. To be a good leader, we have to be creative in solving problems and looking at people to see how best we can use their energy in our best interest and theirs. Absolutely. Number 1 gives priority to individual success. So this is going to support you in your me time when you're trying to understand yourself and see where your mind settles most of the time when it's allowed to run free without a leash. It's the ability to use your initiative, and coupling with that, the determination to succeed. So number 1 can be very, very supportive with the energy that we have above us right now. Number 1 suggest that we should devote more time as a leader or as a person in a leadership position to other people, to maybe what can we do as far as maybe helping somebody, or with some creative ideas, how could we be of service? Leaders should be of service. So just an example, I have a friend that had a recent a real big health issue, and I was trying to think, what could I do for her? She has so many people around her, so many people love her, she's very lovable. And I thought, what could I do? Me, nobody. What could I do for her to let her know how powerful I think our relationship is, and to let her know how cared she is? And I thought, well, she has everything. Then I started to think as a woman. And as a woman, if I was immobilized for a number of weeks, what would be my concern? Well, of course, my farm, my dogs, my horses, all the animals, and my house. I don't like a house that's not in good working order. I can't stand dust on the counters, and I don't want to see dog hair as much as I love my dogs in the house. I don't want to see dog hairs on the floor, so I work hard to achieve a house that I'm proud to say is clean, even with all these dogs. And I thought, well, maybe her husband wouldn't recognize how important a washed floor would be, or maybe a job that she didn't feel good for a while, couldn't get at. So I thought of giving her a gift certificate to give her so many hours, 2 or 3 hours, of telling me what to do and not being intrusive, but what would you like me to do? I can wash the basement floor, I can wash your steps, I could do windows, I can sweep your porch. You tell me, you make a list, and you keep me busy for 2 hours. The things that bother you, pick out what bothers you and that you weren't able to get done, and I would like to be able to have the opportunity to do that. So that's what number 1 is all about, is just trying to put yourself in the other person's shoes, and as a leader, how do you take charge and maybe devote some time to another person. And like I said, with that Leo energy in Venus, praise is going to be really important. I really praise myself sometimes. I don't let anybody know it, but I try to make a list of some of the things that I do right, because I'd like to feel good about myself too. I did this right, I did this, okay, I did that wrong, but I did this right and I did this right. Number 1, in some cases, can be domineering, so we really want to watch that. You don't want to overpower a person, because some leaders can be very dominant, and so that's not a nice energy field. So try to get out your good management skills, polish them up, use them. Try to look at how can I be of service to other people with this number 1 and Libra. That Libra's all about other people. And as I said, the weaknesses of number 1 paired with the planets right now would be a superiority complex or stubbornness. I experienced stubbornness a couple of days ago. I know I can be stubborn, but I was surprised at the length I went to be stubborn. And there was no real reason for it. Just got stuck. Right? So then I had to look at it and say, okay, is this something I'm doing often? Was it a one-off? What was it? And should I be paying attention to that little failing? So just look at it. Stubbornness could come up in the next little bit, and look at it and say, sometimes stubbornness is good because we won't quit, but in some cases we need to be flexible too. That's the number 1 paired with this. And just on an aside quickly before I get to the cards, just want to bring to your attention all the heavy planets, the generational planets, which would be Jupiter, it would be Saturn, it would be Neptune, Pluto, all your heavy planets are all in retrograde right now. So that's the 2 teachers are in retrograde, Saturn and Jupiter. Uranus, which is the finder of new paths forward, retrograde. Neptune, the one of fear and creativity, retrograde. And Pluto, the one that brings us to Hades and back, that's in retrograde. That's really difficult, and it's generational. So that means that it's trying to get us to look at our history to change our future. when they all line up like that. History will teach so that we can learn from it and go forward on a good foot in the future on all those levels. If you're interested in astrology, this wouldn't be a bad time to do some investigating into that. Now, as I said, I wanted to talk to you about the cards just quickly. And it is general, so it may apply to you. It may apply to somebody around you. Just kind of use it generally. That's what it's all about. One of the first cards that came up is a soul card, and it's the Seven of Wands, wands being our soul. And this is the card of courage. Now, what it's trying to get across to us in this particular reading and where it's located is that sometimes it takes courage to stand up and say what should be said, what we know should be said, what we believe in, the morals. And so some of you will be tested on your morals. And remember that this is kind and soft and gentle energy standing on a rose, but firm. So not to back up. So once you dig in, they're asking you not to back up. So make sure that you make sure that you know what you're doing or what you want to do before you dig in, because this is one that you pick the hill. This is the hill I'm going to die on. Pick a good position and then make that decision. This is a position of advantage. I'm going to hold my own. I'm going to take a stand in this, and I'm going to hold firm. You might be having to do this against opposition. This might be work, it might be family, and it's not about being stubborn. It's about maybe fighting for the right thing, standing your ground for what's right. I mean, it takes, I'm not saying to blow whistles, I'm just using it as an example. Some whistleblowers, can you imagine the courage it takes to stand up when nobody else will stand up initially for you and with you? The courage it takes, and that's what this is all about, is courage. So there'll be some situations come at you, folks, that will require courage to stand up and say, gently, kindly, lovingly, what needs to be said in a loving, kind way, but with determination. The problem is it takes matters to come to a head sometimes to have this happen. And to be able to keep our ground and maintain our position, we have to work at this. So remember when I said get a position of advantage. If I'm training a dog, I'm not going to correct a dog that's maybe a biter or aggressive when I'm at a disadvantage, maybe bending down in front of it, or it's taller than me, or I'm grooming it on a table and its teeth are right where my face is. I pick a good position for myself so that I'm in an advantage type of situation, and my strength, not just physical strength, mental strength, determination, emotional strength, will help me get through it. So some of us may find ourselves in a situation of conflict, and it may come to a head. And hopefully we will be able to view these matters from a position, as I said, of advantage, a superior position. And you may feel pressure as you enter this situation of maybe confrontation, challenge, opposition. And you're going to need to call on your nerves and ask your nerves to be strong, and the reserves and that courage that it takes to prevail. And that's going to be for some of you, not all of you, but for some of you. And it's really important right now. They were really adamant with me to spend some time on this, to summons that inner strength. And even though we're in the face of competition, to stand there. I had this. I'm always ahead of everybody. I get the preview. And I had a position, or a situation, I'm sorry, this week that proved that to me, that I had to go nose to nose, and I was yelled at. I could have yelled back. I could feel myself building that I wanted to yell back, but that's not going to solve anything. That's just going to add chaos. But I kept repeating my same point. Even though he was going off on other different directions, I just stayed with that one point. That's all I wanted to get across, just that one point. And I could see this reading applying to me in that situation. It ended up really good. I was so pleased because in the end, both of us apologized for having to go nose to nose. Apologies were accepted on both ends, and a big hug, which is always great. Big hugs are always great. So it ended very pleasant. But in the beginning, it was challenging, and in the middle, it was really challenging. So they're just saying, don't give up the struggle. Do the situation that may be coming at you or somebody around you and support them in it with love, with, how would you say it? With making an effort to come to an agreement that everybody's going to win, everybody's going to feel good about. And that's what we're supposed to be looking at here. It's a soul energy field. They're saying that we need to spend some time making joy for ourselves, happiness. Our lives are supposed to be pleasant. We're supposed to be enjoying ourselves. And I know many people have said this world is hell. This is hell. I'm sorry that they feel that way. There are, yes, difficulties, and it can get really rude, life, but I don't experience life as hell. I experience it as a lovely opportunity, and most of the time it's very, very, very pleasant because I make sure that it is. I just want to enjoy and squeeze everything out of it, even if it's a glass of milk that tastes so good and cold going down, and how lucky am I to be able to pour a glass of milk. Find your joy. And that's what they're looking at. They want you to kind of look back. That's what we're doing with all these retrograde planets. They want you to look back on the good old days and see what was it that you liked about, quote unquote, the good old days, if you happen to be Generation X or the millennia or boomer. I don't know if Generation Z is old enough yet to have good old days. I'm not sure. But nostalgia may come up for you this week. Enjoy it. Swim in it. Find the innocence of it. Review maybe your childhood when you're spending that time with me, trying to monitor your thoughts. So they might send some people with some homework to review some childhood memories, to rekindle maybe an old friendship or something that we've let go, or an old love. And they want us to share that happiness, share that joy. And honest talk is a real big thing right now, honest talk. And that is hard, so hard to talk honestly with the people that we love, because we don't want to hurt their feelings, or we want to make sure that they're okay. And if the situation is difficult and we have to have that honest talk that may hurt their feelings, that can really require a lot from us. And that's what they want us to really look at. Not to get into a fight, not to get into competition, not to one-up each other, but in love. So they want you to swim in your happy memories, to bring it around and enjoy those happy memories. So they want you to unearth some of these buried treasures that are in your life, emotional treasures. Bring them up, polish them off. Look at them. Warm get-togethers, celebrations, gifts that you might have received, sentimental things, family values, family traditions, the enjoyment of home and family, the enjoyment of a trip to visit family, vacation, all these things that might be a memory. Instead of focusing on the dark side of everything, they are really begging us to focus on the good side of everything. And you may have an opportunity to deal with children, and that might be coming up as well. All right, kids, I've kept you way too long, and I apologize for taking up all of your time like that. Thank you very much for spending that valuable time with me. I appreciate it. You have no idea. And what I also appreciate is our Charlie O'Brien, that hopefully can put this up on Spotify, on Apple iTunes, on Amazon Music Podcast, the SoundCloud one, and YouTube. He'll give me a link. I'm tardy. I haven't given it to him when I should have. Life took me on a cruise. Not a really pleasant cruise, but it took me on a cruise. And I just landed at the dock. So, and so if you want to listen to any of the podcasts on any of those platforms, Charlie O'Brien has done it. And if you have any video things or podcasts or any technical needs yourself, don't be afraid to Google Charlie O'Brien and enlist his services. He's amazing at digital anythings and photography, really amazing at photography. And if you need me, I can be reached on the website that Charlie O'Brien has put up for me, which is www.terriworld.com. You can look at some of the archived podcasts that he has put up, 4 or 5 of them, if you've missed any, or you just want to rehash some old stuff. Or you can email me at terri.coutts@gmail.com, or you can text or call 519-726-6699. Thanks again, everybody. Have a great week. Enjoy this week and get that joy. Ring it right out. Get right on that horse and ride it out of town. Have a wonderful week, everybody. Bye for now.
Thanks for listening to Insights with Terri Coots. Visit Terri's website at terriworld.com. TERRI world.com.